Okay, we're live.
Okay, we will call the meeting of the Irvington Architectural Review Board to order. As is always the case, we will start with continuations and go on to new applications. We would ask that whoever's going to be presenting that you share your screen with the board and let us know when you're ready to do that. At this point, we will start with ARB 21-81, 125 North Broadway, solar. And for the record, I will recuse myself. I am the neighbor to the direct neighbor to the east. So I will recuse myself. Deb will handle the application from here.
If you're here to represent the application, can you please hit the raise hand button at the bottom of the screen, please?
Any response there?
Yes, they're here.
Okay.
Hi, good evening. Let me share my screen.
Hi, how are you? Are you able to turn your camera on?
Yes. Try to do that. Share my screen. So this is for 125 North Broadway, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Frozen.
Thank you.
All right, can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
We can.
All right. So we're proposing, this is helpful too, 29 solar panels. We have 10, it's 2x5 on the front, rectangular design, and the rest remaining 19 are on the back side of the house. So we try to keep it as clean on the front. That is street facing. We have the front view as well, but aerial view. The majority of the panels are on the back of the house there. And then this is the blueprints here. So this is orientated north-south. So majority of the panels are west, northwest, and then again, 10 2x5 on the east street-facing side. Any questions based on the design there?
I do.
Sure.
Well, actually, just to review the history a little bit, could you remind us, I know this application was before us. I try to look back on my notes to find out when, but were you the solar panel company that presented for this property as well before, or
Yeah.
have you been brought in?
It was
recently?
it was a few years ago, if
It was.
I remember the notes correctly. A colleague of mine was coordinating with that one. I believe we had more panels.
Okay, so
It was Sunrun.
I was just going to ask you. Yeah, so I think it was 2019. It could have been 2020, but do you have the notes in front of you as to what the proposal was before? Because I know that the ARB who reviewed it had concerns about the front facing panels and had asked you to go back and rework it. Do you have your notes from the last application?
I also remember, Deb, it was too many. I mean, the figures didn't work because it was actually too many panels for the house. So
Yeah,
the amount
no,
of square footage.
We scaled it back last time after the ARB, so this is likely it here.
Yeah. If you have the notes, I'd just like to know how you scaled it back.
Yeah, I was not the consultant available on that one. So let's see if I can pull it up real quick for you guys. This might be- We had 28 panels previously.
Do you recall the array?
No, I don't. I was not the one available on that project. See if I can pull it here.
Yeah. Ooh,
For lack of a better
I'll give
word,
you a few more
it was messy, and I think that some of them were, I mean, this is a much better array. I'm just wondering if you need the ones that are in the front.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is a mostly electric house. I think this is what we adjusted after we met with you the first time around. So we
Okay,
had,
so can
we
you
did clean it up.
articulate that? So it looks like if you got, what is it, 8? You had 18 in the front. Tell me tell us what we're looking at. 18?
Currently we have, this is 4x3, so 12 in the front here.
Mhm.
And then the rest on the back of the house. So the panels
So-
are more efficient now, so we don't need as many panels. So we have just 10 panels on the front currently.
Okay, so you went from 12 in the front to now 10 in the front.
10 in the front.
And in
correct.
the rear, you have 19 presently. Can you go back? What was it prior?
This 4x4, 20 on the back. So it's 32.
I think that they missed the
Okay.
plumbing vent on that diagram. And it was corrected for.
Yeah, we have the vent here. So the blue lines are for fire setbacks, emergency access to the ridge line. So we have those on both. So but I believe they are a little bit different this time around. So we have access, ground access points from each solar plane. And I think that's a newish requirement.
And
we-
lastly, if you could tell us, go ahead.
I was saying, can we go back to the image
What
of
was
the rendering of the front real quick again?
Sure.
So that image that's the front view is not reflective of the aerial view. As you can see in the aerial view, it's covers a lot more of the roof visually than the rendering from the street. And the plan shows that it covers perhaps even more than the aerial view.
Yeah, I believe this is 24 inches
Uh-huh.
from the edge. And then each panel is about 5 feet. So 10
So
feet.
it sort of exceeds the midline, right?
In this diagram, it does appear so. And
Yeah,
it's about midline here too.
it's approximately right. But look at that image on the right. I mean, the midline would be the middle window, actually. Just for what it's worth.
Right. Yeah, it looks to be the shutter right around here.
Well, it's an important point because what I was hoping you could also tell me from my notes is between prior application and this application, what is the size of the panels in the front, each panel at the moment?
These are about 3x5. They're slightly larger than the previous ones. So I don't think we could fit a third row right here. That's why we have 2 rows.
Mhm.
Prior, we had
So really,
3.
even though right, but even though you have 10 front facing for this application and had 12 prior, the panels are actually larger this time around. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, larger and more efficient per panel. Correct. We always try to use as few
So-
panels as possible to generate as much
I
electricity.
think,
Right.
Deb, if I can speak for a moment, I believe the configuration of the amount of energy that you were giving to this house was more than it was actually necessary. Can you give us the figures on how much, because you're saying these are more efficient. So I think you're going to have more energy, I would assume, than you need again.
No, this is a mostly electric house. So even with the prior design, we aren't able to meet the full consumption that the homeowners use throughout the year.
Mhm.
And just for privacy reasons, we're not supposed to give that information out in terms of costs and offset. But
And
they
why-
still require more.
Why not put panels on the lower roof to the right on the aerial view?
This tree is quite large, and so it wouldn't generate enough electricity where it makes sense to add more panels. So we do have a production guarantee. Sunrun does, so we only place panels where we know they will generate electricity. And the shade, this was about a 70 or 80 foot tree, if I recall correctly. And so the shade on both sides here was too great for extra panels.
Well, unfortunately for me, it appears though that while you were here a couple of years ago, the concern by the board and trying to be consistent with what we articulated from what I recall is that because they're front facing, it's facing Broadway and you have neighbors across the street. My recollection was that you had a great majority of you had a certain number of solar panels in the front, and there was a concern for glare, and there was a concern as to why you couldn't locate more panels in the rear. And I think that reason about the tree was articulated, but we had asked you to go back and actually look again at the rear roof because it looked like there was a location in the back that could serve some of the needs of the electricity. So it feels like to me you're back with larger panels, even though you went down one front facing. You really haven't addressed the board's concerns about trying to minimize the front facing panels and put more in the rear. I'm not really seeing what you guys did in the interim between the last application and this application to try to minimize the concerns that were articulated last time. Can you address that? I mean, I know you're saying that the tree was shady, but I seem to recall we asked you to really come back and give us specific examples as to why you couldn't relocate some of those panels in the back.
Yeah, it is still from these trees. So you can see here that these 29 panels only cover about half the electricity that these homeowners use. So we always want to generate as much electricity from the roof as possible. That's always typically the homeowner's preference. And so if we were able to fit additional panels anywhere on the roof, we would for this homeowner. But because we do guarantee the production from our panels, any panels on these lower roofs, they are slightly lower compared to the main house here. So there is a shadow from the primary home, and then getting up under the trees, there just is not enough electricity, solar production by placing any panels underneath the tree there. So even if we attempted to, we did try to boost that percentage, the offset percentage. So we wouldn't even be able to relocate any panels from the front here to the back and still meet our production guarantees that we do guarantee to the homeowners. And then we did maximize the back here with the fire setbacks, and then the one vent that we cannot cover.
Okay, and then the other issue that was raised last time was under the solar panel guidelines adopted by the village, I think back in 2017. You have to minimize glare to neighbors who are across the street, or frankly, I don't know what kind of glare exists on Broadway, but this is a house that faces Broadway and these panels will be facing Broadway. Are you able to speak to that as well as in terms of the glare?
The glare would, glare would be depending on angle of the sun. So these panels would be facing east. So they do get their direct morning sunlight on the front of the house. That's when the glare would be the greatest if there was much. The panels, they are really dark black, navy. So they try to, the efficiency has increased just by making the panels darker. They're not a bright blue anymore. So just the darker nature of the panel reduces the glare. And there's less, these are the old panels in the back. There's a lot more metallic in the older panels. So by reducing the metallic, also reduces the overall glare of the panels.
Okay. Anybody else on our board have any questions?
Deborah, are we supposed to open this up to the public?
Yeah, I was just going to get on and tell Deb, you have to open up a public hearing.
Yes. I just wanted to make sure there was nothing else from our own board. So nobody else on the board has questions? Okay. Sarah, is there anybody in the public who wants to comment? We need to open it up to the public under our guidelines and legislation.
There's nobody raising their hand to speak and there are no comments in the chat.
Okay, well, I'm going to speak because as president of the board of 120 North Broadway Tenants Corp., we didn't have the opportunity to let our residents know that this meeting was about to take place, as we did the last time this application was presented. And we had several residents from directly across the street in units 1, 2, and 21 that had issues with having them on the front facing right into their apartments. Essentially, it's not a, essentially it's not a wide Broadway is not that wide when it comes to the two houses being very close to the street. But I think it's would behoove the board to allow for public comment. I understand that the applicant sent notices, but I do know that 120 North Broadway Tenants Corp. Never received it, or at least the managing agent that it was sent to states today that they never received it. So I didn't have a chance to notice everybody in in units 1, 2, and 21 who are directly affected with it, let alone the other 88 families are going to look at it as they drive down the hill. I would ask that we would put it off to next month when we can have another meeting where we can notice our residents.
Anything else? No? Okay. As to the solar panel representative, would you have any objection to holding this over to next month so we give an opportunity to the neighbors across the street to comment and view what you're proposing?
No, I understand the concern. It's always good to have input. I do know that they drive right down the hill and have full view of that house. I believe we were on the agenda last month, and then we are again here. So it's just pushing it out another month and getting into the winter months. So there was, I believe there's public notice that this meeting occurs once a month, and the meetings are all public notice too. So it's up to the board to decide whether the town has had ample time to comment or push it off another month here.
I guess what I'm asking you is, I know last month you were on, but didn't appear. Hearing the comments of the president of the co-op, would you have an objection to coming next month? I know, and it sounds like it would be greatly appreciated. Also, little bit of my concern is that the front view depiction that you gave us doesn't seem to really represent or line up with the aerial view. So it would be helpful, I think, at a minimum, if you were amenable to coming back next month, if you could also just tweak that so that the front view is more realistic as to what you're proposing to install.
Yeah, certainly. I can have our engineers redraw that to scale.
Okay, that would be great. So, so if it sounds like you're amenable to it, so I would suggest to this board that we allow the applicant to come back, not take a vote, and then if you could have the engineers tweak that front view, and then if the president of the co-op board or the managing agent, if you can make sure that they're on notice that this is going to be back, so that we don't delay you any further when it comes before us.
Yeah, could we get the contact information for the co-op board there? Could that be relayed to our
did you
team?
I think we can make sure that either Sarah, is that something that you can do? So we can coordinate through you?
Sure.
Okay, that would be great. So we'll make sure that we get that information to you after the meeting.
Great. Yeah, thanks for your time, everybody.
Great, thank you. I really appreciate you accommodating us. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Take care.
Okay. Thank you, Deb.
Sure.
We will go on to new applications now. The first is ARB 21-87, 60 Hamden Lane, a fence.
You're talking.
And start video. There we go. Now you can see me?
Yep, we can hear you
Okay,
too.
you can see us.
And we can
Okay,
hear-
so this is Sarah and Bob Weinstein. We are seeking approval for a fence in our property, which is 60 Hamden Lane, which is in the corner of Hamden and Manor Pond Lane. We're the original owners of 60 Hampton. We moved in here since August of 1999. We have two boys. Our older son just finished college in 2020 and currently lives in New York City. And our younger son is in Boston working in his undergraduate college. We have a new puppy, Summer, who joined our family this month. And she's a Havanese who will at most be 10 pounds. Our impetus to putting a fence on our properties to protect our plantings and yard from deer and to provide our puppy and ourselves another outdoor area to enjoy without further concerns surrounding deer and other animal intrusions in our backyard. And this is the survey of our property. Here is the
You have
left
to-
side of,
We're not seeing your screen, Sarah. I mean,
oh,
yeah.
you're not?
Did you hit share screen?
Hold on.
Yeah, hold on one second.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's all right.
Okay, go in here. There we go. There we go. And
No, we're not seeing it yet. Oh, something's happened.
go in here. And share. There we go.
Okay.
Ah.
Ain't it?
All right. So let me, from current slide. Okay, so this is a survey of our property. So you have this is our house, which faces Manor Pond. And on the side where the driveway is where Hamden Lane is. The back of the house faces Cyersfield Road. And then we have our neighbor on 59 Manor Pond Lane, the Viagis on the right side of the property if you're looking to the house from the front. These are pictures of our left side, so closest to Hamden Lane. The first photo shows the corner of the house where we're proposing to start the fence and it put the pergola. So you have the second view of the house where you see the pine tree. So we would go to the corner in front of that pine street. And the third picture, you see the pine trees that we have on the side. And that's where we're proposing to put the side of the
fence that
Yeah.
faces Hampton Lane.
right, exactly. So can I pass on to the next slide?
Sure.
Okay, so then this is the back of our house. This is what faces Cyersfield Road. And it's just woods. Our neighbor has a chain link fence, and we're proposing that this part of the fence be chain link. This is the right side of our house if you're looking at it from the front of the house. And we propose that we have a fence with the rings and a gate so that, people can come in through this
Is this
portion.
an indication on what the fence is going to look like, or this is someone else's fence?
This
No,
is our
this is our
neighbor's
neighbor's.
fence at 659
59.
Manor Pond.
Yes.
Okay.
So the only difference between the two fences would be their fence has the spikes. We don't want spikes in our fence because there's deer
Yeah.
coming up and down, and I saw an impaled deer and I don't want an impaled deer.
I've seen one
so-
too, and it's not a pretty sight.
No, not
No,
at all.
exactly.
So
So,
our fence will be finished at the top with
Yeah.
a vertical bar that kind of covers the design.
right.
On the
Sorry,
left, on the left photo, would the fence be on the right of those trees or to the left of those trees?
If you're looking at the house, it would be between the corner of the house and the first street.
It's going to come off about 8 feet, and then it's going to angle toward the neighbor's fence.
Right.
You can see the stake in that picture. That's our property line. So that tree sits on our property.
Okay.
And we have a very good relationship with our neighbors.
Yeah.
So we don't believe they'll have an issue.
And we showed you, and the third picture is showing you their fence and our trees.
Okay. Do you have a copy of the, or show us on the survey where the fences are gonna go?
Yeah,
That's really
exactly.
what we
Yeah.
need to say.
So this is the type of fence that we're proposing for the front sides of the house. So if you look at the proposal by King Fence, he's suggesting that we install approximately 57 linear feet of 5-high black aluminum fence with the rings on top in the front part of the house.
Yeah, they'll come off the corners as wings. So this will be the fencing that faces Manor Pond Lane
Right.
and slightly face Hampton Lane with a little bit different but matching fencing going up Hampton.
Yeah.
And then across the back will be the chain link fence that matches the fence that our neighbors have. And we
Okay.
chose the same color fence as our neighbors to keep it uniform
Right.
style.
And then the pergola would be, if you look at the pictures of our driveway, if we can go back
Here, we'll go back.
here. So we'll
The
mark with
pergola is going
From
from the
this-
corner of the house to the corner of the turnaround in the driveway at an angle, at a diagonal. And then the fence will go parallel to the Belgian block that is sitting in front of the car, front of the car,
Right.
to the corner of the tree and then go to the right.
but you'll see that on the map.
All right.
And then this is, so to the right of, in this picture, that's where you see the plain one without the rings. And that's the fence that will be coming up
Hampton Lane.
Hampton Lane, which matches our neighbors with the exception that it doesn't
Those
have
spikes.
the
Right.
spokes. And then this is the chain link. So we chose a chain link that has the bar on the top to give it, stability.
Mhm.
But that's the picture. And then on the right side of the property, like I mentioned before, we would have the rings because the project is to have the rings facing Manor Pond. And then there will be a 5x4 matching gate on the right side
It's
of
just
the property.
it'll be a pedestrian gate on that side.
Right,
Whereas the landscapers will go through the pergola, which will be gated to take their equipment into the backyard.
right. So now we can get into the map.
So I
with the legend.
apologize in advance for my
No,
Drawing.
that's right. If you could just,
or lack thereof.
if you could
Right.
just zoom that maybe once. So
Yeah, so
Okay.
put it in the, as a current slide. Here. Just click that. Okay, so is that
Is that
big
better?
enough?
Yeah,
Okay,
Okay, so so Manor Pond, we're looking southeast right now. The house is angled toward Manor
put the
Pond
cursor
and
here.
Hampton Lane. Can you see the cursor?
yes.
yes,
Okay, great. So I'll kind of go around clockwise. So this is the driveway. This is where the pergola will be with the gate.
Okay.
This will be the ringed fence. This is the non-ringed fence. This is the chain link fence. This is the neighbor's fence. And we're going to add on here, this is their driveway and this is their fence. We're going to add the non-ringed fence here with a pedestrian gate, and then this will abut the house on this side.
Okay.
This is about 90 feet. This is 140 feet. This is 34 feet. The gating in the pergola is about 16 feet. Then on this side, I think it's about 7 or 8 feet. And then this fencing is about 15 feet.
and one of the things that I failed to say is that the fence that comes up Hamden would be in between the pine trees that we have in the property, which are about, 13 feet from the.
Yeah, they're an adequate clearance or egress from the road.
You can, if you need to see the pictures again, we can show you the pictures again.
Well, my only question I had was to clarify the photos, and you did a pretty good job of that early on, so.
All right.
Oh, good.
First time, luck from the first time.
You read my mind, that's what.
This is our first IRB
And by the way, we
presentation.
neglected to mention. we
Anybody on the board have any questions?
I just wondered how far you are from Cyrus Field Road. In the picture, in your drawing, it looks like you're quite a ways away, so.
Yeah,
We are, in fact, there is a drop off right after this. There's a
Uh-huh.
drop off to Cyrus Field. This fence will probably, I'll estimate, will be about 100 feet from Cyrus Field Road,
Yeah.
And
approximately.
considerably higher, I guess.
Yes, yeah, it'll be up about 12 to 14 feet above Cyrus Field.
and it'll match our neighbor's line.
Right.
So
putting in
we're
the same line.
matching the line. So
Nice.
we're not going beyond, we're not going,
Yeah, their fence is right here and that goes along Cyrus Field as well.
right.
Deb, any questions?
Yeah, the only question I have for the Weinsteins is for the why the Windsor Plus with the rings? Is that an aesthetic choice or is that something that's consistent with Legend Hollow? I just was curious why I understand why you don't have the rings. Why are you adding the rings?
Right, because the pergola has the rings and we kind of liked it.
See, the pergola has.
Okay, so
rings
it's to be,
here, so it matches the pergola
that's,
on the left and right, and also this curved front
Right,
has rings, so it'll match the rings.
okay, so that's the driver. That's what I was just curious because usually we try not to mix and match many different types of styles.
I understand.
But if it sounds like that the Windsor, the regular Windsor without the rings is not going to be as visible. So aesthetically, if you think this is what's in keeping with the house and it's the driver is the pergola, then I understand.
And I think it's on the other side of the house
And-
anyway, right?
excuse me?
It's on the other side of the house? It's not near the Windsor Plus, is it?
No,
Where
the
the-
only on the corner by the tree. So they'll meet right here. The ringed fence will go up to here, and then the non-ring will start here up Hampton Lane.
Yeah,
So you don't have a face with two different styles. The
Right.
corner delineates one style from the other.
Okay.
And it's a version
Okay.
of.
And
I mean,
the
Yeah, yeah.
Windsor,
Totally digress.
Yeah.
so.
And they're all the same height. All the
Yeah.
fencing is this.
yeah, that's what I was,
consistent.
yeah, I was just going to confirm that. So they're all 5 feet in height,
Yep.
Except for
That's
the
correct.
chain, except
Except
for the
for-
chain link. Then the chain link.
except for the chain link.
No?
yeah, the chain link
I believe
is
it's
6 feet
six.
because of the deer.
Right. Okay. So
And it's
6
a
feet for the
drop.
chain link and both. Right. And both
Right.
Windsors are 5 feet. Okay.
Correct.
My notes are clear. Thank you.
Okay.
Apologize.
That's all from
for
me,
that.
Rick.
Anybody else? Questions, concerns?
No, it looks good.
Okay. All right. I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Second.
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you
Bye-bye
very
now.
much for your time. We
Yeah.
Nice
appreciate it.
job.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay. Going on to 21-88, 8 Palliser Road. Windows.
Hello,
We see you and hear you.
good evening, everyone.
Hello.
My name is Eva Buhasra, and I'm the architect for Mr. Searle and Ms. Rudenstein. And we have an application which has to do with installation of new windows on the house, which they own. And I'm going to share the screen to show the work which we're proposing to do. So I will start by just a quick introduction. The house is located at 8 Palliser, and here's the road. Here's the front of the house. And the windows that we are proposing to install are on the first floor of the back of the house. And so if we look at photographs, we can see that here's the front of the house. There's some snapshots of the sides, and the back of the house is this portion here. So it's the backyard. And you can see that there are windows that are currently looking like this. So the house has casement windows. It was built in 1997, so it's a sort of a traditional / contemporary interpretation of the style. And the builders chose to install these casement windows, which are rather consistent in size throughout. We are looking at some windows which at this time are broken, not functional, and just don't serve very well. And we have also just completed some interior remodeling, and we have a living space which was created by combining an open space and a former bathroom. So the bathroom was somewhere here. It has been removed, and now we have a portion of the wall which is available. And we have this space that has windows, but it certainly could enjoy having more windows and having a nicer view of that backyard, which is rather private and green and pleasant. And therefore, we are proposing to install all these new and consistent windows that will be slightly larger in size than the current windows. We are not changing the style of the windows. They are still casements, but we made them bigger and sort of simplified the way they are organized. As you can see, for example, we replaced these 3 smaller casement windows with larger ones. These 3 smaller casements with 2 larger windows. We have a blank wall here, so we inserted more windows there. And then we basically, looking at this as a center line of that idea, we also projected more symmetrically organized windows and just continued with that entire row of windows. And there is a couple of doors here currently, which are sliders, and they are quite dysfunctional. They are difficult to open. They've been there since 1997. The insect screens are broken, so we are replacing them as well. And we decided we really just need 1 sliding door at this point. So the approval is basically to install this row of new windows. And so if you look at the photographs, and let's say you look at this, you can see that this is then just 1 row of, like when you see the dotted line, it's a row of almost continuous large new windows. And that's it.
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead, Mitchell.
Just a quick question. It looks like the fence on the deck is gonna terminate in the middle of one of the windows. How are you gonna resolve that?
That was my question too. Only,
You're ab-
but if you look at the
So
plan
look-
view, it doesn't.
Yes, you're absolutely right. In fact, what is happening is we were originally hoping to come in front of you with a modification to the deck as well. However, for the reasons of lot coverage, we got held up at the zoning board. And so we are planning to remove the railings from and sort of finalize the shape of the deck with the zoning board. We will actually come back with a slightly modified deck.
You have,
And so
you have a-
when
you have a plan view of this?
I can show it on the floor plan which we submitted, right?
Right.
So right now, here's the deck with the railings, and this railing ends between the window and the door, and there is no conflict. And at this point, we would basically cut this railing and just hold it less than 4 inches from that window. However, we will come back with a deck which is slightly larger, and it has no railing at all. So it's a temporary modification which we are planning to change. The railing is, I will go back to the pictures. As you can see, the previous construction, the builders or the owners or the designers have elected to have this railing, but it really is not technically necessary. The deck is really, really low to the ground. And so if we remove one part of this just to be able to install the new windows, we will probably not even get to the point until sort of the next step when we can enlarge the deck slightly and then just take the railings off entirely.
Okay. Anybody else? Questions?
My only question was the window on the left side of the new windows. Is that being replaced, the left side of the slider, or is that remaining?
Yes, so this is the only remaining existing window in that whole entire row. And we are not changing it at this time. What happens is behind that window is a kitchen. And the kitchen, just like the rest of the house, is somewhat dated, and it does need to be rethought and redesigned. But that hasn't happened yet. That is something that will happen maybe in a couple of years, and we are just not sure at this point how that layout will work out. And for that reason, we don't want to install something there that could be a conflict with a potential new kitchen layout. Basically, as you can see, the kitchen has the cooking area in the rear, and it has an eating small table inside the kitchen in the vicinity of the deck and the door. And down the line, this could also become an identical full height window, or maybe there will be a piece of countertop or a seating bench or something, which we don't know at this point what it will be. And so we don't want to commit to something here then that it would then prevent the kitchen to be redesigned in a functional way.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else? Questions? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the application? Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate
Bye-bye
it. Have
now.
a good evening. Bye-bye.
Okay. All right, moving along, 21-89, 25 South Cottonette Street, addition. Sarah, we have anybody raising their hand?
Yes, the architect is here.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. There we go.
How are you?
Hi, how's everybody tonight? My name is Brian Crowley, architect working with the homeowners of 25 South Continent, Dr. Poor and his wife Connor, and the proposed screen share. The proposed projects are for pretty significant alterations to the exterior of the home. 1 second, try and get this screen share going on here. Here we go.
Here we are.
Can everybody see this image? The existing house, blue house as it sits today? Everyone see that?
Anybody? Everybody?
All right, great. All right, so we're going to give you a little reference first. 25 South Continent. So if you come straight down Main Street, Broadway, Route 9 is up here. You hang a left, you drive down past the building apartment, municipal buildings, a little bit further, and then down the left-hand side, South Continent. You go in several streets, several houses, and this is our project site, 25 South Continent. House as it sits today from the road, rear of the house as it sits today. And what we are proposing is, interestingly enough, we really aren't adding that much square footage to this house. We're only adding 58 square feet or so of usable square footage. But we're achieving that by just ripping off the entire second story roof and the floor completely and reorganizing it, because it's just it's very choppy, broken up configuration that just it's just in no way would we be able to fit the program into the house as it exists today. So just to walk you through some context, just using this key, just walking down the street, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and back up. These are some of the neighbors. Pretty eclectic, pretty diverse neighborhood. This one's currently under construction. This one's on the corner. And then you start walking down towards the house, a mix of colonials. Here's a Gambrel style house. We're doing something similar to this, but ours is going to be oriented towards the road. So you only see the shed roof from South Continent. Here's a cedar shake exterior. This is going to be very similar to what we're proposing. This is actually immediately next door. This is the immediately right-hand side of our house. And then you're actually in Barclay Park right now, I believe. So then you just kind of turn around and you work your way back up. Again, it's a very, very cute, very eclectic, walkable part of town, brings right to Main Street. And then our project starts you guys with the site plan. So as it exists today, there currently still is, quite a bit of undocumented coverage in the backyard, patios and walkways and whatnot. So we've reworked all that. We went back to the planning board at 3 different times to get it all squared away. Long story short is that we're removing about 350 some odd square feet of undocumented coverage. We're going to reestablish a lawn in the backyard for the kids and that kind of thing. And we aren't altering any of the existing fencing around the perimeter of the house. We would be removing 2 small sections on the corners here, just by virtue of the construction we need to do. And then on the rear of the house, I believe it was once a deck. It was converted into a sunroom. It's going to be converted back into a deck. The structure of it is still good and sound, so we're going to use that, tag onto it, and extend it. So this is now the sunroom, and this is a porch on the back of the house. As you can see right here, that's the sunroom, that's the porch, but the structure is good. So we're just going to add on to it and extend the unenclosed porch. And then we are going to build adjacent to that a fully open deck next to it. That'll be on the rear of the house. After getting squared away with the planning board, we had to go to the zoning board, get a handful of different variances, one for site coverage, one for FAR, one for the rear yard setback, all of which we received last month. So now we are here presenting to you and with a hopeful approval, so we can be on our way with the construction documents and try to get a permit from the town. So let me see, I'll just walk you through the floor plans. It makes a little bit better sense that way. Existing basement, we're not modifying it much. The existing first floor, we're just opening it up for a more open floor plan. And then the entire second floor plan, you can see just very choppy and not very functional. Whole thing is getting ripped off, relocating the staircase to the rear of the house to provide a more open footprint so we can fit the program into the house. So the entire first floor will essentially be wide open. We're maintaining one room on the rear that will communicate with the rear deck directly. And then the kitchen is being reoriented in certain ways. It leads out to the unenclosed deck. It'll be covered. And then the perimeter walls, there's no railing per se around it. It's going to be just a 36-inch wall finished with natural cedar shake on the exterior. So it looks consistent on the backside. The only fencing and railings that will be installed will be on either side of the stair and on this one side of the rear deck. And then up on the second floor is what really dictates the exterior form of this thing. Is by doing what we're doing, we're able to get a much more concise footprint where we can get 4 bedrooms up. They had their child, so this gives each child a bedroom, a master bath with the hall bath. And the best way to accomplish that, we thought, was with a gambrel style house with a shed on the front and the back. We feel it's consistent with the surrounding context. I think it'll be a handsome addition to the neighborhood. Exterior materials, as depicted here, will have a gray charcoal asphalt shingle roof. We'll have a natural cedar shake siding that will weather and silver nicely over time. We'll have composite white railings around the rear of the deck, just the sections that I described down the stairs and on the one side, as well as railings on the front entryway. The front entryway is going to be reworked a little bit. We're going to widen it a little bit, make it a few inches deeper, and we'll refinish it all with bluestone. And we'll have composite railings going up to the staircase on either side, which I believe is basically what they have now. That is and then all the, so the windows, all new windows throughout the house, all white vinyl clad windows, white accent shutters, all the trim, fascia board, soffits, window trim will be white AZEK composite, as well as exposed structural columns. These 6x6s will wrap it with the white AZEK, so everything is nice and clean and matches throughout. 6-inch white aluminum gutters with downspouts. So again, I think it's going to be, it's going to look pretty fresh. It's going to look very clean. It will, again, in our opinion, be a nice addition to the neighborhood. And happy to answer any questions anyone on the board may have.
So all the finishes on the house, the roof, the siding, it's all being replaced in its entirety?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you speak to the lighting at all? Exterior lighting?
With the exterior lighting, we got as far with planning board and zoning board. We understand all the village requirements in regards to light trespass and and whatnot. As of right now, the only proposed lighting would be exterior sconces on either side of entry walls. There'll be a pendant underneath the front foyer, and then we will have some wall sconces on the back. But that's pretty much it. There's no plans for like security lighting or any kind of rear backyard lighting. As far as this application and this project, it's really talking about the house proper.
Garage doors staying the same?
Yeah, that's the one thing we aren't changing probably.
Okay.
At least now. It's in fine shape. It operates just fine. We'll just try to reuse it, but the entire house is getting an overhaul. So during construction, we may very well end up being replacing it, and it would probably be very, very similar in kind. But as of right now, there's no plans to replace it.
All right.
So my first question, Rick, to the architect is, did you consult the Historic District Guideline booklet when you sat down with your client?
I know that we're in the historic neighborhood. I know that we are not a contributing member to it. That's as far as I got. So to answer your question, no, I did not review all the specific requirements of the historic district.
And when you applied for a building permit, did anybody even tell you there's a historic district guide?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So have you actually seen the product, the booklet that walks architects, owners, and contractors through it, what the historic district of Irvington is trying to achieve in this neighborhood?
No, we determined that we were not a contributing building. So that's kind of where that conversation ended with all the public hearings that we've had so far.
Okay. Okay. Well, so from my perspective, I know you're trying to achieve something fresh and clean, but the village is trying to achieve a consistent look for historic district, whether the house is contributing or not contributing. The idea of the guidebook was for it to guide architects and homeowners so that we could try at least to return to what the district looked like, as opposed to copying more modern interpretations of houses, and frankly designing something that looks like it's not in a historic district. So I see you have this that particular house on the screen, 37 South Continent, and I know that that is a cedar shake exterior, but what it seems like you've tried to do is take an element from each house and create a version of a house that has each element, as opposed to what the historic district guideline booklet did, which really looked at a house in its entirety and the elements of the houses and try to make it blend in that regard. I'm kind of at a loss how to comment on this renovation, because it is completely, has every element in it is completely different, but yet not, I don't see what the style of the house is, how you could articulate that it blends in with the historic district.
Oh, well, I mean, this house is 2 doors down, and we're essentially creating a very similar form with our building. It's just
But then you added shakes. That's what I'm saying. Like,
oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're,
Well, again, that was the owners gave me certain requirements that I was trying to address and respect as well. So we did, we went through a pretty comprehensive conceptual design process on this, and we went through a couple of different exterior forms, mansard roofs, reverse gables, and whatnot. And we ended up on a gambrel style because we felt it was in keeping with the area. If you just walk around the area, you'll see a lot of homes that have a similar form to it. And as far as the materiality with the cedar shake, I mean, yes, it'll look new and fresh, but over time, and this one, which is immediately next door, that's been on for quite some time, but ours will in time look like that. That's just part of the natural material. And then just the use of like AZAC material, visibly it'll look very, very similar to this. That's just more of a maintenance type of thing. One of the homeowners, it's been a bit of a convincing on my part to sell them on the whole composite aspect, just for long-term maintenance. Visually, I don't think you're going to get much of a difference.
I don't think that's the issue. I think that one of the things, if you look at the gambrel roof on the house that you use as an illustration, you see it's got that little kick, and it's got a fairly deep overhang on the gable ends, which really help engage that lower eave line that they bring around the gable end. And I think that your design would benefit from even that little teeny fill up of a detail there.
Sure.
Instead of just a straight line, because well,
I totally understand what you're saying.
For example, if you pulled your roof back instead of it being so vertical, and I think that would enhance it. I would also think that your shutters there, even though they're supposedly historic, they're like crowding the corners on the shed dormer on the front, and it's sort of like screws up your proportions, I think, even to have those shutters. And then also I might point out that this is not super visible from the street, but your deck is begging for some kind of detailing, because it's got, the covered porch in the rear is, it wants to be articulated with something, because it's just this big blank blast of shingles along the bottom, and on the side it's really saying, please put a column in the middle of that span, because it's, visually it looks like it's going to sag, even though I'm sure you've figured out use your beam check to determine that you are not going to sag. But you know what I'm saying about that?
No, we do. And again, I understand everything you're saying. The way I work is I don't get in the full construction document phase in this case with my structural engineer who I'm working with, until we have certain things addressed. We obviously don't want to go all the way down the road to have these kind of conversations, have to go back and rework a bunch of things.
But you're
So,
at the architectural
totally-
review board now, so this is
Yeah,
the
this is the time to have these conversations, absolutely.
But to your
Can
point,
I interject for a moment? And thank you, Mitch. I really appreciate those points on the roof. So, I forgot that the Midgley's house, as you go through the gates into Barney Park, did do the shakes, and they are not all that old. And they did really sort of, turn into a nice darker shade, but they have a lot more stone on the front. This house, I don't really see the relationship to this house, and I know it was there before. But the house that you're doing, can we go back to that?
The plans?
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you. So I think the things that are off-putting to me in the front are, I love that both of the houses you're referencing, the Midgleys, and I'm not sure who owns the other white one now, but they have smaller, lights in their windows. And this house has those smaller lights now. They have a wonderful sort of a bay window that just projects forward, but doesn't have, it's very different than the one you have. And I almost feel like that's better than what you've got here with the two. They don't really match, because on the right, you had two windows, which you've made into one, and it's a much bigger side. So I don't think you're going to want the shutters when you put them up. So having done it myself on another house down the street, but so I really think that maybe, more divided lights in the windows would, reflect both of those other houses that you're referencing. And it's also the white gutter against the black roof. I'm not sure why you put that line of white right there, that maybe.
All the exterior trim, yeah, all the fascia board is.
But this is like right against the black roof. I don't know. It just seems like a little extreme. So, I would want the gutters to fall in more. I think they're going to look sort of inexpensive compared to the other finishes. So, just my opinion.
Okay.
But,
That's
I
what
think-
we're here for.
yeah, well, I'm just a little disappointed in the windows. I just don't think they're really going to do what you're hoping they're going to do. And if you look at the ones you're referencing, they've really gone for a very different style. So,
And again, we aren't taking, and just to make something clear, it's an interesting comment that was made by one of the members a little while ago, but at no point were we like going around trying to take different bits and pieces from various homes in the neighborhood and trying to meld them together. Just interesting you point that out. I don't disagree with you, but that was never the intent. Yeah, the divided light comment, valid comment. The shutters, I do not disagree with that at all. Again, the homeowners had a certain vision in their head. I've been trying to help them accomplish. There's been compromises along the way. So we can definitely relook at shutters. As far as, like the siding material and whatnot, that really is the intent. That's been like that's what we've been kind of like the design inspiration we've been chasing the whole time.
I have no trouble with that. I would say if you notice that the house that you're showing us has a lot of white trim, which really helps to balance the field of the shakes. And if you went back to your house and, for example, the trim is very thin in general on the house. And I see, you're beginning to do it on those bay windows. But like over the second story bedroom windows in the front, you've just got this, big forehead like me of shingles, where you should really be introducing a freeze board element below your fascia to kind of break up that mass a little bit, and you would really, for a few bucks, really enhance the view from the front. Also, you could do the same thing on the first floor, between those bays, underneath that overhanging little, the intermediate.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, if we were to incorporate in some kind of decorative dental underneath the soffit board, it would be carried, to be consistent throughout. Yeah, that could be a nice addition. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would propose that you look at that. Also, if you get rid of your shingles, you're going to, I mean, your shingles, your shutters,
Okay,
you're
good.
really going to be helping yourself.
I don't disagree with you, sir.
And tell the clients that we say so, you know, and then,
I think they're listening. Hopefully,
Okay.
you're reinforcing a couple of things I've been telling them. So
all right. And I would suggest that, you know, on the side elevations, which are less visible, you know, I don't think you have to spend, you know, typically the front of the house is where you put your money on the street, right? And so there's a few things that you could look at, like maybe you should consider adding a little bit more pizzazz to your portico over the front door, over the front porch, you know, because that's this, you know, that is where the simplest old houses had, even if there was no roof, there'd be a beautiful architrave or doorway. That's where you really want to put your money, you know, right up there. And then the rest of the front facade will begin to, I mean, hopefully fall in line based upon that primary thing that you're looking at from the street. And I think if you really work on that front facade, it's going to really help. It's going to help you, I think, a lot.
I agree. And I'm going to go back again to the historic district guide, because regardless if the house is contributing or non-contributing, the idea of the guide is to ask the homeowner and the architect to consider every aspect of the house and how it could be in keeping with the historic district. So the 1/1 window, not consistent, to go to the point that was raised earlier, whether you could do 6/1, 4/1, but to give it thought. Shutters, if they're important to the client, we asked in the historic district guide for them not to be vinyl. Just didn't have vinyl shutters in the historic district. And if they're going to be shutters, they should be logically, you know, placed. You don't necessarily need them on every window, especially if they're basement windows.
no, I mean,
Likewise,
this conversation is only helping me convince. But
Good.
we're probably going to get rid of the shutters. We're gonna
no,
get rid of the
great.
shutters.
Yeah, no, you say, and likewise, the front entrance, the front door, you know,
Yeah,
side lights.
let's-
And
let's
just,
not-
if I can just finish, that the other thing that's important is, you know, the shingle facing on the deck in the back. I mean, historic houses had post rails, you know, you've added this shingle siding, that's not consistent either. And regardless if it's in the back of the house, the historic district guide is asking for every aspect of this house, since it is located in the historic district, to be thoughtfully reflected on whether that is the best choice for the house. So I would ask you to look at all those elements. I would ask you to both you and your client to look at the historic district guide. I think it's been set forth pretty clearly what the village is trying to achieve, and I think you'll get the sense of what our comments are all about. The bay windows, not exactly consistent with the historic district, but I understand, you know, a lot of the houses that come before us, when it is important to the client, you know, we would understand why you're suggesting it, but again, I'd ask you to reconsider whether you need both of them.
Yeah, I mean, you might consider having one as a big gesture and the other one would be just a double window.
Oh yeah, no. If you know, I mean, if I had to, I could show you multiple iterations of designs and layouts and schemes that we,
well,
you know, kicked around. This is what we landed on. You know, I mean, we've been working on this since like March. So
I've been in the trenches for. Yeah. Definitely. I
mean, everything you're saying, everything the board is saying, I'm listening to. I think that if we come in front of you again next month, we can make some changes. I don't think they're going to be drastic, but they can be changes that will be impactful.
We're asking to see a design which reflects the guidelines that Deborah mentioned, and that picks up on some of our notes from this meeting. I mean, to wit, like, look at the, you know, make the trim work for you, lose the shutters, balance your proportions on the front, you know, improve the railing in the deck in the rear. And I think if we get that, I think I think it'll be improved a lot.
Yeah, the trick of this is actually a split level house, you know, so kind of working with what we got. The front door, without making significant I can't get perfect symmetry in the house. It's just not possible.
I don't,
So,
I don't think we're looking for
Yeah.
symmetry. I take your point. But for example, if you didn't have the bay to the left of the door, the fact that the windows aligned front up and down would be
Yeah.
perfectly, like the dining room could be a, you know, a double window instead of a bay. And that would just make the bay in the living room more important in the, you know, visual experience of the house. And, you know, the porch roof, all I'm saying is maybe, you know, maybe when you render it, let's see some shadow in the front, because you have shadow otherwise, but it looks like you know, you've brought the pediment all the way to the front. Maybe you recess that, you know, and so you have a bit more overhang. It's just going to read better. You know,
I again, not disagreeing with anything you're saying. There's been, you know, there's been certain constraints that, you know, the board's not privy to that I'm working around. You know, I mean, like the front of the house is on the front yard setback. So, you know, instead of asking for a fourth variance, it's trying to figure out a way to make it work. So, you know, we have a cantilevered overhang. But I understand what you're saying. You know, we'll take a second look at the way we're detailing some of the exterior of this.
all right.
Thank you, Brian.
That's all we can
Thanks
ask
for
for.
being so amenable too. I realize it is a split level and, you know, it's sort of, you know, it'll certainly be a better looking house than what's there. For
Yeah, I mean, when we, you know, if I'm able to get this thing turned back into you I think the next submittal is due like in a week or two. You know, it'll still present itself as a cedar shingle house, asphalt shingle roof, white vinyl windows. I have to have a discussion with the homeowners about the divided lights. They're listening, texting me as we go. So we're going to get rid of the shutters, which makes me happy. You know, and we'll take a look at things like fabric fascia boards and maybe some, you know, some other kind of like dental detail underneath the soffit boards or transitions back to the house. Yeah,
Brian, the house that you're referencing with the pillar front down the street almost looked like a garage before. I mean, what they did to that house, not that one. That was that house. They just did, you know, sort of a new facade. You know, they redid the facade. The other one, that smaller house, that one. That was such an incredible transformation. Does anybody else remember that house? But
yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, we can certainly pick up on. I mean, this is kind of what we've been discussing anyway. Like it's very similar. That's how we would trim out the front columns, and we can add these details for you guys so you have a better understanding. It's no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm kind of doing this already. I'm kind of kicking out the bottom of this thing already by virtue of how we're treating the roof line, just to kind of break up the whole mass of the house, especially on the side facades. You know, we're just kind of like wrapping it around. So otherwise, just be this huge plane of wall, which wouldn't really be good.
Yeah.
no,
So
you're right.
We're kind of accomplishing that one thing you were talking about, and also, you know, this is not a big house, so you know what manipulations on the exterior really may have a direct impact on, you know, the usable square footage of these rooms. Like I've tweaked every square foot out of these rooms I can to keep them functional, and you know, again, trying to make the program that the client gave me work. But I understand everything the board has said tonight. I'll take it under review. I'll have a discussion with the homeowners, my client, and get something back in front of you that speaks a little bit more to the exterior details of the project. If I do that, hopefully I can satisfy the concerns that were raised here tonight.
Thank you. I just think it needs a little
Thanks so
massage.
much.
You'll be there.
Okay. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, board members.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. Okay. And last but not least, ARB 21-90, 47 Station Road addition. I believe this is Mr. Malone. Ah, Claudia.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Long night, right?
Yeah, not so bad. This is actually not a bad one.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen. So this is Claudia Schrader for Ferguson Malone Architecture, representing our client, the Milets. I'm going to give you a brief description of the project. The house is located on Station Road. The clients would like to put an addition at the back of the house, which is facing north. The addition will these are pictures of the existing house because the exterior will pretty much be matching the existing materials that they have on most of it. So we can go back for reference later on. This is the existing basement. It's a finished basement with a small laundry bathroom and the garage. The first floor, kitchen, living room, and dining room, and second floor bedrooms and bathroom. The addition, these are the existing elevations, which we can go back if you need to. The addition will be an extension of the basement towards the north, the rear of the house. This will allow for the existing finished basement to continue as a gym. And we are including on this addition a guest suite, bedroom and bathroom. We are relaying the existing laundry room. And then this gym, just the same way as the basement has it now, has an exit to the exterior. And we are including a little patio and at the back of the house, and then the stairs going up to the deck. So this room would serve as the roof deck, and this extension of in the basement will repeat at the first floor as a kitchen extension. So here's the kitchen. Sorry. So here's. Sorry, I keep pressing the wrong button. There you go. So the extension of the basement will be the same layer, the same footprint as the extension in the kitchen. And then in the basement suite will reach up to here. So this will become the roof deck. And then the stairs will be cantilevering going down to the basement level and the patio. So for the elevation, the proposed elevation, the front is the same. This is the rear, the side elevation, the east elevation. So this would be a window in the guest suite. This is the cantilever part of the deck, which underneath will have storage covered by a lattice. The decking will be wood, mahogany wood, painted white to match all the trim of the existing house. The windows and doors that we propose are going to be Marvin Essential, which are fiberglass. They already have fiberglass windows and they are white, so we're going to try to match the existing finish. This is the elevation that we are proposing, with the door coming out to the patio, the back patio, and the stairs going up to the deck. Right now we have a window at the rear, which we're going to replace with a door to come out from the living room. This is a bathroom window, which is going to remain. This will be the windows for the kitchen. One is going to be picture and two are going to be casement. And then for the side elevation, we are going to have a window also in the kitchen. This is going to be the sink, and because of the size of the window, it's the only one that is going to be an awning. And this is the window that we can see on the new basement bathroom. The finishes are going to be, like I said, matching existing. Whatever new gutters that we're going to do in the new roof part of the kitchen are going to be matching existing aluminum with the same color and size and shape. We're going to continue the finish of the basement wall, which is parched, and we're going to paint it the same color, and we're going to match the existing trims on all the windows. I think I included material siding. The siding is going to be the existing siding. The clients replace it when they replace their siding. They did it with this Norman Rockwell historic kind of color, and they had very good results. It's a very durable siding. It's vinyl siding. And then the other thing that we are proposing is, I'm sorry, the light fixture, which we only have a couple of sconces at the deck level and the basement, which is going to be a simple wall sconce in a black color, which is going to be located there's going to be one light fixture next to each door of the new doors and one light fixture next to the kitchen door, the door coming out of the kitchen. Yeah. Sorry.
Claudia, does it seem like there should be two in the back there?
Here?
Yeah, one on
This?
either side of the door.
Yeah, we only have one in the existing at this side of the window, but we can, you could probably be better to add two and maybe even two here in the basement also.
I don't know. What do you think, Mitch? It just seems like there's two doors, two lights. So
Yeah, I mean, that would make sense. I mean, I would say the elevation is, in the first place, the addition is very clean and very handsome, I think. Perhaps the best part of the house so far. So for us, it's probably throwing a bunch of shadows and shade on it actually enhances our perception of it and doesn't take very long. You just do it as another layer or something, you can dump it later, or you can do it in your PDF. And I would imagine that there'll be a lot of plants in front of both, at least on the side of the door where your cursor is right now.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, I'm just saying that, for my money, it's like the more plantings and the way you show it in situ, the better it looks for us, and the more we understand the way it will really read.
We do have some planting in the planters that we're incorporating as retaining walls due to the sloping of the property. So we are including plantings. The homeowners did not want to totally populate the site with planting. They do have existing trees. They want to really just have some lower plants and decorative planting in front of the patio and on the areas that we're going to next to the retaining walls and planters. But we do have some low planting to enhance the facades, which seem very plain, and they kind of are in the same plane. So there isn't much. There aren't a lot of shapes that are combined on this. We try to keep it simple to fulfill the program that the homeowners require, and try to kind of continue, so you could read all the language, all the materials of the existing house being incorporated in the new one as if it was originally there. So that's why so we have the walls are going to continue, everything is going to be on the same plane, but it will be enhanced with lower planting, decorative plantings, especially around the patio and all the gathering areas.
I agree. It looks nice, Claudia. I just think, I know they're only wall washers, and that's why I just said maybe a little more lighting, in the back. So.
Yeah, and I agree, because it's a bigger deck than the existing, and a couple of other sconces will probably benefit, the area, especially being such a larger deck, having one sconce on each side of the doors.
And it's a nice sconce, it's good looking. So.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else? Questions? Concerns, issues? Okay, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
opposed? Abstentions? Okay, we're good to go.
Bye-bye now.
Thank you
Bye.
very much. It's good to see you all again.
Same here.
You too.
Have a nice evening. Thank you.
Thanks, Claudia.
Well, it was only 5 items on the agenda, but we still took almost as much time as when we have 15.
No.
Here we
Well,
sit.
it's also good to give everybody their time and,
Oh, yeah. Oh, you
if
have
they
to.
have to come back with a smile.
Yep, that's right. Okay, any questions,
All right.
concerns from the board?
Nope.
Okay, I will make a motion to adjourn. Thank you, Deb, for stepping in tonight.
No problem.
Do I have a
Good night,
second?
everybody.
Good
Second.
night, Claudia.
Good night.
Night.
We're adjourned.
Thank you.
guys.
Okay.
Good night.
Thanks, Rick. Have a
Good
good
night.
night.
Good night.
Night.